the Bill Nicholson gates have returned to Tottenham, as Tottenham have announced today a bit of history coming back to the High Road, which is much to everyone's delight. Everyone was saying over the past couple of years, where are these Bill Nicholson gates? We were promised they were going to return to the High Road, and no word of anything. And it was came of, I think Vinay actually mentioned it in the Fab meeting a couple of days ago, and now the club have announced it. A big, long old announcement on the website, and they say that we're delighted to announce that the famous Bill Nicholson gates, which stood proudly in front of our old White Hart Lane Stadium for generations, are returning home this summer. The iconic black and gold iron gates, which became synonymous with the great Bill Nicholson following the famous photograph taken by Peter Robertson in the 1970s, have been kept safely in storage since 2015, having been removed ahead of the construction of our new stadium. Bill himself first stepped through those gates as a young player in 1936 when he arrived for a trial, going on to be a key player in Arthur Rowe's trailblazing 1950-51 league title-winning side, before himself becoming the club's most decorated manager, achieving a league and FA Cup double in 1961, and our first ever European triumph 2 years later, the start of what became a trophy-laden era in N17. Generations of fans, players and staff followed in Bill's footsteps through the gates on the way to White Hart Lane, and we recognise their significant cultural and historic value. As such, we have taken our time in finding the most appropriate location to reinstate the gates with the new stadium, mindful of the significant levels of construction and change the area has seen over the past decade. Working in close consultation with the Fan Advisory Board, we've identified a location within Paxton 17 between the ticket office and the historic building at the north of the stadium, at which the gates will be reinstated. Enabling works have been commenced with a view to the gates being in position ahead of our first home league match against Burnley on Saturday the 16th of August. The gates will provide a fantastic photo opportunity for fans on match days and a key point of local interest, forming part of our heritage tour that offers fans and visitors in-depth journey through the club and area storied past, architectural gems, and the remarkable individuals who have shaped its legacy. And Daniel Levy, chairman, said that the Bill Nicholson gates are such a significant part of the club's heritage, and I'm extremely proud we'll be returning home this summer. We were never going to rush into any decision as to where they should be reinstated, given the huge amount of work that have taken place in the area over recent years. We have undertaken a carefully planned process, working with our architects, construction partners and Fan Advisory Board, and I believe we have found a fitting solution. We look forward to welcoming fans back to the stadium for the coming season, as well as Bill's family members and former players to see the gates and feel a close connection between the club and the rich history. The iconic original photograph that gave Bill Nicholson gates their name is currently on display in the OOF Gallery, alongside some of the greatest works of Peter Robertson until 31st of August. Double Vision, he's just talking about a gallery now, but it's great to...
you don't want to sell any more of his...
Yeah, you know what I mean? I just realised I've just become like a salesman for the club.
He's got you right where you want
to,
literally.
But no, it's great to have them back, that's for sure. I don't know why it's taken so long. But
they don't want to rush into any decision, do they? God forbid they rush into a decision to bring back the iconic Bill Nicholson gates. I mean, clearly there's a lot to discuss. I mean, it's bring back a couple of gates. So, like, I think just announce it and then plan it. Why do you have to kind of wait? But anyway, look, they're doing it. I'm glad. And you're set. So you read out it's going to be between the ticket office
and on the north side of the stadium, yeah.
So are we thinking that's basically like in that little gap in front of the Lily White House, like over there? I think
so, there, yeah.
Yeah, so do you reckon they're going to be actual gates that open and close, or do you reckon they're just going to be like there for photos and stuff?
Well, if they're going to be in front of Lily White House, you would imagine they would open and close.
Yeah, because they'll actually be used as gates, but will they be? Or are they just going to be used as like... I
would like to think they use the gates. I mean, the whole way through they were used as gates at the old stadium, so there's no reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah, but they're not being... They're being brought back because it's something to take photos with and things like that. Maybe they will use it as.
I think on a match day they'll be closed and no need to open them. But maybe when people need to get to Lily White House on non-match days and stuff like that, they'll be able to open and close them.
Which is, look, I'm glad, and that iconic picture is something a lot of every of course, a lot of Tottenham fans know about, and it's also a good opportunity for younger fans when they see those gates being installed in there and people taking pictures with them. They'll ask questions, what's that, why are people taking pictures of those gates? And then that's the opportunity for them to see the picture, and then that's how it gets passed down, isn't it? The history of the club. So I think it's a fantastic thing. Obviously it follows on from a couple of things they've done similarly to this when they had the cockerel outside the south stand with the clock under it, and obviously at the parade they had the flower badge on top of the bus, which was obviously a wreath, which was an homage to when we last won the European Cup. So all these little things are very good, harking back to the history and the heritage of this football club and keeping it alive, and I think that's very, very important. And I think especially in a time when the club have definitely been accused of not wanting to pander to legacy fans and listen to them and wanting to move on to other fans, I think these kind of things definitely help.
Yeah, I agree, and it's going to be great, because anything that you can have for a nod back to the old stadium is welcome, in my opinion. And I think myself, and I think a lot of fans that I've spoken to still, miss the old stadium a lot. I think the kind of feeling that was there, it's a different feeling now at the new stadium, and better or worse, I'll let you make that judgment call. But the old stadium just had that kind of, I don't know if it's because we were young, I was younger and growing up in that stadium, but it was just a different feel around the whole place. And I feel like anything that they can have to put a nod and make you remember those kind of moments, walking up the high road, seeing those kind of things like the clock, like the gates, I think is definitely a welcome return to the high road, that's for sure. And I do remember once when I was younger, outside those gates, and I used to stand there a lot when I was like a kid, early teenage years, waiting for the players to walk out. None of them ever walked out. They always just drove out, and sometimes you'd get a sneak peek of them, sometimes not. But the one guy that did walk out, and he had all the time in the world for all of us, was Martin Jol when he was manager. And literally, all players would just drive out, and he would walk out, and he would have time for every player, every fan that was waiting there, and he'll take his time to speak to everyone, take pictures, sign photographs and everything like that. So that was like kind of my main memory of those gates, just standing there and talking to Martin Jol as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember them being at the stadium. I don't have a specific memory personal memory of them, to be honest, but I'm just glad these iconic gates are back, and I think it's very important. And look, maybe next step, potentially a statue. Let's see.
Statue of who?
Someone.
Bill Nicholson.
Bill Nick. So let's get a statue. Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah, but I mean, surely Kane deserves one more than him. Well, I guess Jimmy Greaves did win trophies here, I guess. Yeah, maybe Sonny.
Sonny? Get a statue of Son. That's the next step that Vinay has to conquer, getting a statue.
Let's move into transfer stories, and we're going to start off with the big one, which is Mohamed Kudus. Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham are pushing for Mohamed Kudus. In recent hours, contact between Tottenham and the camp of Mohamed Kudus has taken place. Spurs are really working on a deal for Kudus. Talks are ongoing and the player is open. Spurs are pushing and want to give the player to Thomas Frank. Tottenham believe Kudus would be an excellent signing for the club. Chelsea and one more unnamed club remain interested in Tottenham target Mohamed Kudus. Ben Jacobs says that Spurs view Kudus as a top priority. They believe West Ham will sell for around 60 million despite Kudus' 85 million release clause. Spurs never advance anything on Eze despite appreciation. Kudus also offered to Chelsea and Manchester United by West Ham. And the Mail are reporting that all of the Premier League's top 6 clubs have all made inquiries for Mohamed Kudus. West Ham are willing to lower their asking price to around £65 million. So in terms of all the top 6 clubs making inquiries for Kudus, that doesn't sound good, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, whether they mean this summer right now, I don't know if everyone's in for him or not. I don't know if I believe that, to be honest. I think maybe it's like they've all, at one point since he's joined West Ham, or even at one point in his career, have they made an inquiry about him? And, can they put that in a headline? I don't know if they mean this summer, every single one have made inquiry. I don't know if City have, Liverpool have, Arsenal have. I think maybe they've made an inquiry. Are they seriously interested? Are they actually going to make a bid? I don't know if they're all in for him. But when it comes to, obviously Chelsea, we know Madueke is going to probably be out the door. There is an opening there, despite just signing Pedro and Gittins. So I'm definitely worried about Chelsea. They can't seem to stop buying players as well. It seems to be they're addicted to it at the moment.
At the moment.
They've always been addicted to it. So that's a worry. I wonder who that unnamed club is as well, if it's a Premier League club or not. But that's obviously a concern. But I think we should.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is Arsenal, that unnamed club.
Maybe. Obviously, I think when you're looking at Kudus, if they're getting Eze, I don't see where they need him. Obviously, back up to Saka, they got Wanyeri there. So and he was obviously great last season. I don't see Arteta wanting to block his pathway because he was shown he can play. So I don't see why they would sign him, to be honest. Not to play up front.
It's the same for them to sign Madueke.
It's the same for them to sign Madueke, I guess. Yeah, you could definitely argue that. Maybe he's cheaper than Kudus. Kudus, you're talking about spending 65 million. I don't think Madueke is going to cost that much.
No, how much? I mean, Madueke would cost between probably 40 and 50, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how desperate they are to get rid. Maybe you can get him for less, maybe 35. I think they signed him for 35, but I don't necessarily think they're 100% going to get a profit on that. So, yeah, maybe it is Arsenal, but I'd be surprised if it is, if I'm being honest.
The most likely is probably Newcastle, isn't it?
Newcastle, that makes a lot of sense, especially after missing out on João Pedro as well, who was a player they were in for. And they need to obviously improve their front line. And on the right-hand side, Murphy had a lot of minutes last season. And you add Kudus to that, Kudus, Isaac, Gordon, all of a sudden that's a fearsome front line. So I definitely think they'll be in the race. Let's just hope we can steal a march in the competition and get over the line. And maybe the fact he might want to stay in London, if we can get there ahead of Chelsea, can put us in a good position. I really want him, but with knowing Tottenham, the way we do deals, and especially with the fact the West Ham factor as well, despite the fact they want to do deal, they're willing to do a deal with us. Do they want to do a deal with us? That's two different questions. So there's still going to be a lot to go in this deal, I think.
Yeah, and I just feel like we just need to get our asses in gear and just, all you've heard of is Spurs sounding out Kudus' camp. You haven't heard anything about Spurs being in any sort of negotiations with West Ham. All you're hearing is Spurs being, in negotiations with Kudus' camp and in touch with Kudus' camp. Like, if you're really serious about this, go put an offer on the table. Go and test the waters already. Like, all this, like we heard that an offer got put in of 50 million 2 weeks ago, whatever it is. It got rejected. So go back with a higher offer that they're going to accept if you're really serious about this and if you're really serious about getting ahead of the competition, because otherwise we're just waiting to lose this player again. We're waiting for Madueke to leave Chelsea and we're waiting for Chelsea to go and gazump us on Mohamed Kudus. That is the reality of right now. So if we're really serious about getting this over the line, you go put the asking price down on the table, 60 million, 65 million, whatever it is, and you do your best to get over the line ASAP.
Yep. Welcome to Tottenham Hotspur. That's not how we do business.
I know it's not our game. I know it's not our game, but it should be our game. Like, how many more targets can we lose? Like, we've lost Mbuemo, we've lost Semenyo now, who just signed a new contract. We've lost Eze. Like, how many more targets are we going to lose, dithering and dallying, before we're actually going to go, you know what, we actually want a player. We want to give something to... Romero keeps saying we want to give a player to Thomas Frank. We want to give a top signing to Thomas Frank. Well, if Kudus is going to go, who is that top signing going to be? You know what I mean?
Not from the Premier League. Anyway.
Like, we're losing targets week by week, day by day. And... it's just so frustrating. Like, this guy, Mohamed Kudus, I think he fits us like a glove. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he can get a lot better and show a lot better output at Tottenham under Frank than he did at West Ham, particularly last season. So if you're really serious about it, which I really hope they are, I don't know if Spurs are ever serious about anyone. Spurs are never serious about someone when they've got competition, and we've got competition on Mohamed Kudus. So, unfortunately, this tells me this is probably not going to get over the line.
Yeah, knowing Tottenham, we're going to... If there's a bidding war, we don't like to get involved in that, and we usually lose out on those things. So, I find it hard to believe if Chelsea are really serious about him, that we'll beat Chelsea to Kudus, because... I think if you want to stay in London, that's a perfect opportunity as well. And obviously they were high in the league as well. And also West Ham probably more willing to deal with Chelsea than us as well on top of that. So I still think there's quite a few things going against this deal. But if we can steal a march on Chelsea, if Chelsea are being hesitant because they're waiting to get rid of Madueke, and there's an opportunity to kind of show Kudus, look, we really want you here. We're serious about you. Here's the money, West Ham, 65 million. We're willing to pay the money down to try and get him in right now. And we're showing Kudus, look, we're more serious about you than Chelsea are. We really have a place for you in our team. We need you to come here. Then we can maybe get that move done. But right now, knowing Tottenham, they're going to want to wait to get the best price. They're going to want to see the lay of the land. They might even want to wait potentially for Frank to assess the squad as well, all these different things. That's what I'm worried about. I hope they don't wait for all these things, but I'm worried they will. And if they do, by the time Frank's made the assessments, any kind of chance of getting a Premier League proven player this summer is going to be very, very slim, I would say.
You just know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. Chelsea going to sign Mohamed Kudus. Arsenal going to sign Madueke, or he'll go somewhere else. And we're gonna go for dibbling in the last week of the window.
Deadline day.
I guarantee you that's the way this is gonna pan out. We're gonna end up with Kyle Walker-Peters and Tyler Dibbling. We're gonna strip Southampton's right hand side that finished one of second worst Premier League team of all time, and that's gonna be our business.
Looking forward to it.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about Cuti Romero. A new update from Edu Burgos today. Dario AS says that Atletico are ready to go all out to bring Cuti Romero to Atletico Madrid. They're willing to offer 55 million euros plus 15 million euros in add-on. Tottenham are demanding a 70 million guaranteed fee. Negotiations are expected to continue this week, where you could see real progress. And another report, this one from Argentina, from Ruben Uria, saying that Atletico Madrid are in negotiations with Tottenham for a deal that's worth over 55 million euros for Cuti Romero. So, I mean, if you do take these reports on face value, if they're offering 55 plus 15 in add-ons and Spurs are sticking to 70 million guaranteed, they're not too far away.
No, and I also think that's obviously the demand. We want 70 million guaranteed, but is that something that there's no wiggle room with? Are we going to be stubborn on that, especially with the current situation or with him 2 years after his contract? If they were to offer a fee which adds up to 70 million, as long as there's a decent guaranteed figure of within 5 to 10 million of that, I don't see that being an issue. I think Tottenham will end up accepting that and he'll end up agreeing to move. So I think there's no smoke without fire when it comes to the current negotiations. In terms of the denials from the English side of this transfer, no one has said we're not in negotiations. Everyone's just said we haven't agreed a fee. I do believe there's clearly talks going on, and I think they're trying to find a solution. And I think if there is, as I've said, if there's truth that Atletico are already as high as 55 million plus 10 million add-ons, then if Tottenham are looking for a guaranteed fee of 70, I don't think it's beyond Tottenham and Atletico to meet in the middle somewhere with that. I think there's enough wiggle room. I don't think it doesn't sound like it's crazy miles apart, if there's any truth to any of those two figures. So I think it's worrying times if you're one of those people who really want Romero to stay. Yeah, and I think what do you reckon? Like the biting point is in terms of an agreement, something that Tottenham will accept. Do you reckon something like 60 with 10 million add-ons, 65 with 5 million add-ons? I mean, where do you think Spurs would accept that? I even think they would accept a bit less. Like, I think if it was like 60 plus 7 million in add-ons or something, get close to that 70 million figure, I think they would accept it, to be honest. Obviously, they'll wait it out and drag it out and try and get it as close as 70. But if, let's say, Atletico draw a line, look, we're offering you 60 plus 8 million in add-ons or 7 million add-ons or something, I don't think Tottenham turn around and say no. I think they'll kind of meet in the middle there. And accept that. So that's kind of bid. All right, well, that's the Romero situation. And the last bit of transfer news we got you is regarding a favourite link, which is Davide Fratessi, who seems to be linked to Spurs
non-stop over the past couple of years. Caught Offside are saying that Tottenham have genuine interest in Davide Fratessi, who's valued at 35 million euros. The Italy international's future is in some doubt this summer, with Manchester United, Atletico Madrid and Roma all with interest with the player. Do you reckon he's a player that Spurs would like to bring in this summer?
No. I don't. I just don't. I don't see the need for him. I think there's other options, for example, like a Jacob Ramsey, who are going to be much more of value to us. I think he's one of these players. Like, he's a midfielder, but he's a midfielder who likes to get forward. But he's not a number 10. He's more of a number 8. But he's more of like a attacking number 8. With decent kind of numbers, making late runs in the box. He kind of, I'll describe him as a bit like a similar profile to like a Frank Lampard, you know. I think Frank Lampard, I think, was maybe a bit more of a attacking midfielder, but like he wasn't quite a number 10, was he, Lampard? He was more of like an 8 who makes late runs in the box, but definitely gets goals and stuff. So I think Fratessi is similar to that, but for me, I don't see a space in the squad for him with the kind of players we have at the moment.
Just had an update from Peter O'Rourke, who's claimed that West Ham have rejected Tottenham's offering offer for Mohamed Kudus, thought to be £50 million plus £5 million in add-ons. So I'm not sure if that's a bid that's happened in the last 24 hours, or if that's the bid that happened a couple of weeks ago. Because a couple of weeks ago they did say 50 million.
Well, he's reporting it like it just happened.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but it could be old news, or it could be something that's just happened.
I mean, I think he's tweeted it as if it's news that's basically hot off the press. That's how he's tweeted it and reporting it. It's not like within an article saying Tottenham have previously had a bid rejected. He's saying West Ham have rejected Tottenham's opening offer. So that's quite interesting. But obviously, look, I'm glad there's an offer there, and we're making one, and we're trying to get him. Obviously, 55 million. If we know, I guess. Look, I know how Tottenham work with negotiations. They're not going to, they're going to test the waters, I'm guessing, first, and see if they can get him for cheaper than the asking price. They're not going to, if the asking price for West Ham is that much, they're not going to immediately just bid that. Although other clubs do that, like the clubs like Chelsea and
clubs that are serious
Liverpool,
about signing players.
City. Obviously, those clubs also negotiate, but as well, sometimes when they just really want a player and there is an asking price they know they can afford, they just go, yeah, we'll do it. For us, even if we know we can afford the asking price, we're still going to try and get money off. That's just how we do business. So this bid of 50 to 55 million, including add-ons, was always going to be off. We're always going to try and get money off of the first bid. That always happens. Let's hope there's future bids coming.
Have Spurs ever in the history of Daniel Levy ever had a first bid accepted? Is that ever true? Has that ever happened? Have we ever not bid under what we think a team is going to accept? He also said in that tweet, Peter O'Rourke, saying it's an opening bid, when ex-West Ham employee, who's obviously a very reliable source within West Ham, said the opening bid was a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if we believe that tweet or not.
Well, I guess we're suggesting that our improved offer is 5 million in add-ons,
which is ridiculous.
which is first of all, it is ridiculous, but it's also very Daniel Levy, so it's extremely believable.
Yeah. Just if you've had a bid of 50 million rejected, surely the next move is to go 60 million with 5 add-ons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but in what world do they think, okay, we'll just add a 5 million add-ons and it's going to be accepted?
And it's probably the add-ons probably win the Champions League.
If he scores 30 goals in the season,
if he scores 60 goals in the next 60 games,
if we do the league and cup double, you get another 500k.
Oh, Daniel.
So yeah, I don't know. Look, obviously, ex-West Ham employee says there was a bid a few weeks ago. Peter O'Rourke saying this is the opening offer, whether it's just happened or whether that's the bid he's referring to and he's just getting word of it now. Who really knows? But sounds like there is a bit of movement there, at least. But clearly there's going to have to be a lot more improved on the offer, I would say. Yeah. I think 60 plus 5, that's 65 million they're looking for. That's going to be more realistic, I would say. This offer is 10 million under the asking price and 15 million under for the guaranteed fee. So doesn't sound like a bid that was ever likely to be accepted.
Yeah, agreed. So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all those news stories we brought to you.